So what we're here to talk about today is securing remote workers with Cisco solutions, and want to keep things moving since we're a little short on time. What I'm going to talk to you about is some cybersecurity trends. Obviously, as security people, we really want to focus on what the attackers are actually doing, so we can adjust our strategy and architecture that we have in place to specifically focus on those types of things. So we are going to talk about some solutions, a touch on Cisco Firepower, Meraki, and a main focus of Amp, AnyConnect, Umbrella, and Duo. So what we've been seeing, and this should be not news to anybody, but we do have several new work from home users. And obviously in the beginning, this shift occurred extremely quickly. And for most of us, it was not done likely with security top of mind. And this did create many new security holes, as leaving a lot of different users and companies extremely vulnerable. Some specific things that we have seen that were pretty concerning: many not using or not available to have VPN connections. And this was because in the very beginning, the infrastructure just wasn't designed to handle that amount of VPN connections and work from home users. So it was a challenge to get the hardware in place to actually support that amount of VPN, or also those users who were used to being in an office environment simply did not understand what a VPN is, know how to activate, or things like that. Also, we're seeing a good amount of people who don't have good security on their home networks because they weren't prepared for something like this. So depending on where you live, you could be, if you're in the kind of the rural area, you may not have a whole lot of different networks and people around you to potentially have a problem with. But if you're in a city, living in a large apartment building, for example, obviously you're going to run across a lot of different networks, and a lot of other people will be able to see your network as well. So definitely a major security hole there. And back in March, two ransomware operators actually said to a security company that they would stop attacking hospitals during the pandemic. And this was both from a compassionate standpoint. They knew if they did lock down a hospital, it could have devastating effects. But then also from a fear factor, those attackers also knew if they did cause catastrophic events, that it would get the attention of law enforcement, and they were obviously afraid from that. So many of these ransomware operators actually shifted their focus directly to these newly deployed work from home users. We've obviously seen a sharp increase in successful phishing emails. A lot of people out there are very hungry for information with COVID and other things that are going on, and very irresistible to click on major news. And also a lot of users simply did not have a secure mentality. And from Proofpoint survey, 45% admit to reusing passwords, 50% said they do not have password protection on their home networks, and 32% said they do not know what a VPN is. And I'm hoping that they actually do have VPN, they actually do utilize it, just to not know the terminology, because that would be pretty devastating to all of us. And NetWalker was actually one of those ransomware groups that shifted away from attacking healthcare providers and shifted to attacking these work from home users. Primary attack method was actually phishing emails and utilizing remote desktop endpoints once they actually had a user's credentials. And since March, this company has actually profited $25 million simply on ransomware focused on these work from home users. So they are definitely shifting that focus, and they're having, unfortunately, a lot of success. So the way we want to position ourselves as to secure these remote workers, we need to start out with some type of next generation firewall at the main office. So this will serve as the base security or the very good security type solution, and also as the VPN concentrator as well, or VPN server. And in Cisco's product line, these firewalls that are current are the Firepower series, which range from the 1000 series, which is kind of our SMB solution, 2100, which is kind of our most popular, I would say. And then if you're happen to be a large organization, you'd be looking something into the 4100 and 9000 series. So these appliances do run Cisco firepower, which compromises of IPS, AMP, web filtering, etc. This is very good, very robust security. So if we have this at the home or the main office, we have our remote workers connecting by VPN, they will be protected by this high level of security. If you happen to be running a Generation 1 ASA, that is considered a Gen 1 firewall. It is not considered next generation firewall. The newer ASAs do run firepower, so that would be considered a next generation firewall. If you're not into that type of platform, the other option from Cisco is Cisco Meraki, and this is an entirely cloud managed and out of the box operable type of solution. You receive the packages, the packages, you connect them up into the internet, and you're already going to have a cloud managed solution available to you. We would call this kind of the easy button when it comes to Cisco networking and security. And just to mention that this absolutely is considered a next generation firewall platform as well. So shifting to the actual secure remote worker solution by Cisco, we obviously want to be able to provide connectivity to the main office and those applications and very robust security, as well as security from the home, no matter where everybody is. And the solutions that we're going to mention as a part of these is going to be Cisco AnyConnect VPN, Cisco Umbrella, Cisco Duo, and Amp for endpoints. So Umbrella actually comes from a company called OpenDNS, which was acquired by Cisco a few years back and is now rebranded as Cisco Umbrella. Prior to March, I would say that this would be an additional layer of security for those working in the office and could be a primary line of security for anybody working remotely. But since now we're mostly working out of the office, this is kind of considered our first line of defense. So this operates at the DNS layer. Whenever we do any type of web query, Cisco maintains its own DNS servers, and on a regular basis, it scrubs that, removes any type of DNS entry that we have considered possibly malicious. This is a cloud managed type solution. So when you do purchase this and get your users set up on it, there's absolutely no hardware to install whatsoever. You're simply going to go to your cloud managed portal to set everything up in this. Also, this is a type of security that is always on, since we're simply utilizing the DNS servers from Cisco. So if your user is not using their VPN, if they do not have a password on their Wi-Fi, if they do actually click on a phishing, the Cisco Umbrella, because it operates at the DNS layer, is going to prevent connections to those malicious types of servers and prevent attacks. The next solution is Cisco Amp for endpoints, and AMP stands for Advanced Malware Protection. This was an acquisition that came over from SourceFire several years ago, and this is actually a client that is going to operate directly on the endpoint device, whether it's a desktop, laptop, Android phone, iPhone, tablets, etc. And this actually operates as kind of three different types of solutions. It actually does provide intrusion prevention system functionality, as well as antivirus and anti-malware at the endpoint layer. This is another cloud managed solution. So again, no hardware to install. There will be a client to install, but no hardware, and simply log into your cloud portal to set this up and do analysis and things like that. The way this product operates is any file that comes onto the system, it's going to do an initial check to say, hey, do we know this file? Does it exist in our digital fingerprint record? And if it does, is it known as good? Is it known as bad, etc.? Obviously, if it's bad, we're gonna prevent it from coming on. If it's suspicious but we don't know it, we can actually do an upload to the Amp for Endpoint sandbox, pull that file apart, run it, open it, do some other tests on it to retrieve some type of score to figure out if we deem it malicious or not. If it passes that and it's actually a new type of attack, we're actually able to keep track of every place that this file has gone. So if it is deemed later as a malicious file, there is record that this device did share it with other employees XYZ. So we know that we actually have to go and remediate those machines as well. The next portion of this is Cisco Duo, and this was another acquisition by a company called Duo. So now it's Cisco Duo. And this is our multi-factor authentication solution. And many of the current solutions out there that do this, it's going to receive, or I'm sorry, when you provide username and password, you receive a text message with a code. Please enter this code to access. Excuse me. And with this system, it's a bit easier for the user. On their device, they will receive a notification, and you will have the opportunity to simply allow or deny that. It will also tie directly into the device's biometric security. So whether it's a thumbprint or your facial recognition, whatever it may be, it also incorporates that into it to make sure that you actually are that person. And another thing that's very, very interesting about this product, it is, as far as Cisco goes, very reasonably priced and user count based, and actually gets into some pretty deep level security. It can actually check the device to say, hey, are all software applications up to date? Are there any known vulnerabilities to exist in the software running on the phone? Also, it integrates directly with Amp for Endpoints, so it can actually Duo can actually say to Amp for Endpoints, hey, I see you're running on this device. Have you seen any files that come into this device that may be malicious? Should I allow or prevent this? And between Cisco Duo and Amp for Endpoint, we can actually do endpoint isolation, so that if there is some type of problem, whether it's a file or another application that is outdated, we can actually prevent it from connecting to the actual home network, but also because this is cloud managed, we can log in through that way and also force the user to update their software or have the admin remove the malicious file before it actually is able to connect back to the network, protecting the home office and everything that lies there. And as we have mentioned, VPN solutions being extremely important. I'm assuming that all of us understand the basic concept of a VPN. Simply log into it and it encrypts your traffic. And just a fun stat I had looked into a couple of years ago, how long it would actually take for the average powered desktop to computer to actually decrypt something that is encrypted by AnyConnect as well as any other open standard VPN. And it was somewhere in the realm of 2.5 quadrillion years it would actually take to decrypt that. So obviously very good protection there. Now, Cisco's AnyConnect VPN, it's extremely reliable. It's a very robust VPN solution. It does obviously require some type of VPN server or concentrator. So that can be a secure Cisco ISR router, ASR router, any one of the Cisco ASA appliances, ICE if you happen to work with that, and of course, all of the new type of firepower firewall appliances. The one caveat I do want to mention is that at this time with Meraki, Cisco AnyConnect is still running in beta. It's been in there about 1.5 years. They've been doing a lot of fixes to it, a lot of testing on it, and we're expecting it to have full support quite soon. But right now, as of today, Meraki does require a different VPN client, AnyConnect coming very soon. And Cisco Talos, and for once we don't have an acronym here. Talos actually does not stand for several words. Talos was the Greek god of protection, and Cisco actually named their team after that. This is Cisco's Global Threat Research and Intelligence Department. And every single security vendor has one of these operating in the back end. And it really is the secret sauce to making any security vendor effective. And Cisco's happens to be the largest non-governmental threat research and intelligence group in the world. And there's all kinds of impressive stats the information they receive. And the way they do that is it basically operates as a giant network as a sensor. And every single Cisco security device running out there is collecting telemetry data for every time it blocks something. It's feeding that data back to Cisco. And then whenever a new type of threat emerges, and that can be found out either through back-end research that they're doing, or if a Cisco security device happens to catch it. That information is fed to Talos. They're going to pull it apart and find fixes and patches and blocks for it and distribute that down to every Cisco security product that's running out there, so that everyone is instantly protected. And they're, depending on the time frame, somewhere between 250 and 300 full-time threat intel researchers. And the way we position this is that Cisco Talos is going to worry about the 99% of threats that are out there, allowing you to focus on the 1% of threats that you will incur. And just to let you know right before we wrap up here, Cisco Umbrella and for endpoints and Duo do have trials available at no cost. So Umbrella you can try out for 14 days. Amp you can try out for 60 days. And Duo you can test for up to 10 licenses for free without a hard time frame stop. So if you happen to have interest in any one of these, contact Entree and we'll be able to work with them to help you get set up with a free trial of any one of these. And of course, also, should you have any questions, I am available and we will be in the Cisco Lounge, or if you want to go even deeper, we're always happy to have a conversation with you and Entree.